in ecosystems, to do something which inherently we think is a good thing because it's renewable energy. We're going to use electric cars, and so we will achieve something for climate change. We will reduce the CO2. And so I think to go back, I think for our children, those are the ones who in future, I think we really need to focus our education from when they're very small to look how everything is linked, how they are part of an ecosystem. They're not there just to use nature. They're just a part of it, like any animal or any tree or, and so I think, yes, I think we really need to think more in an interlinked way. And I agree with everyone. I think that's what the SDGs achieved. The main achievement of the 2030. I used to be in meetings on environmental issues. Now I'm in a meeting where we look at all the dimensions.
Thank you. I will just touch upon a couple of points that my colleagues has highlighted early. My name is Khurram. I'm from Qatar Fuel Additives. We are part of Qatar Energy as a subsidiary of Qatar Energy. So on the illegal dumping or unplanned dumping, which one of my colleague has highlighted, it was a famous incident which was called Love Canal incident. So basically, it was a community which was developed in near New York, and then later on, that community couldn't happen completely develop it, and people started dumping the waste on that area. The Hooker Chemical, they took over that area in 1940s. They dumped around 28,000 tons of the waste in that area. They later on some schools, they were planned in that community, and it took almost $400 million for cleanup of that super funded site. So we can see that a small ignorance can lead to a disaster which took approximately 21 years to clean up. So that was a quite disastrous incident which happened. Similarly, one of my colleague, Ahmed Khalifa, he highlighted about the consumer consumption. We can see that the attitude of people is ourselves, we can see that. How much we are consuming the resources, like you can say from your daily routines, the clothes, shoes. You can see that the buying capacity is increasing in the people, which ultimately increase the landfill sites. So we have to work on that attitude of excessive buying, panic buying, and those things are leading multiple environmental disasters. Taking it from the, if you see the life cycle of those things, taking from the production, transportation, usage, and landfill. So all this cycle is affected from these things. So from a community point of view, from industry point of view, we have to increase the awareness among our children, make changes in their curriculum, increase the workshops for them, give them some know how these things are impacting their life and how it will impact life coming after 50 years, you can say. So these are the things like as a leadership or as the from the industry or from the ministries we have to take it. Then one of the other point that I would highlight the taxes on the usage of plastics. So in some countries, if you have seen that if you go to buy a grocery, you have to pay for the bags. If you keep on giving people those free bags with the grocery and all these things, you cannot control that. Even if you say that these are biodegradable or whatsoever, but people, they will keep on using it. We know that if you go back 30 or 40 years, people were bringing their own bags to take the grocery. So now some markets or something, some countries even, they have started these initiatives. They are pushing people to bring their own things. So these are the few steps or few things that if we focus on the community, we can contribute individually as well and from the society as well. Thank you.
Okay. Hi, I'm May Hamoud. I'm from Lebanon, but currently residing in Kuwait. Legal background, development experience. So I would like to highlight a little bit more the specificity of our region, of the Arab region. And since we are discussing the global SDR report, SDR, SDG report, we have to take into consideration the inequality in the region, to address the inequalities. When we talk about inequalities, we talk about several layers or several parts of the inequality. We talk about refugees in, for example, Lebanon and Jordan. We talk about internally displaced population when we talk about Syria, for example, and we talk about labor migration in the Arab Gulf countries. So how to address inequalities, for example, in the right to health. We have to take into consideration the livelihood of forcibly displaced populations, the lack of a protection for internally displaced population, and refugees in the neighborhood, host countries, host states, and low-wage labor migrants, the kafala system, for example, in the Arab Gulf countries, to take it into consideration in the report. How, for example? The lack of refugee integration and migration policies and the realization of the right to health for non-citizen population. Therefore, we're talking about the global SDG report should present concern, risks, maybe remedies, actions, recommendations for the use of the civil society, since the civil society is highly represented in this meeting. So advocacy efforts regarding the right to health. Maybe we have to examine more the examination of availability, the accessibility, the acceptability, and the quality of the health, maybe the education system, situation at the global, comparing to the regional level, comparing to the local level, when we are talking about the specificity of the Gulf country, the specificity of the region where we have wars, it's an armed conflict situation, a level of the main categories of the non-citizens, undocumented, stateless persons, migrant workers, victims of trafficking in persons, refugees, etc. So the implications of the deprivation of non-citizens of health rights, education rights, etc. Maybe the barriers, the opportunities affecting the access to health coverage for non-citizens, healthcare financing, and here we are talking about the financing by the state, by the governments, the eligibility, the enrollment in the health insurance schemes, the social protection and the social justice, the possibilities of ensuring the right to health to non-citizens in the Arab region, whether labor migrants or refugees. This is my main highlight. Thank you.
Good morning, everyone. Be patient. My name, Arab Hubballah, which is very curious in the Arab word, by the way. Every time I used to say that, look at me, Shuwe, Arab, Hubballah. Anyhow, I have 5 points, so be patient with me. First, when it comes to the Sustainable Development Goals, since I had the opportunity to be involved in the preparations, the SDGs has to be looked as a system in an integrated manner. But you have to start somewhere. So you start with one target or one SDG, but you should keep in mind that it is part of a system. This is absolutely fundamental. Otherwise, we pretend that we are achieving them, which is not the case, because we did only one part without relating it to the other. And you do have, at some point, when you take an integrated approach, you will have trade-offs in the different targets on which you will be working. So it's extremely important to keep this in mind. working on SDGs is the system thinking, even though you have an entry point depending from where you come, while you keep the system in your mind. Second, the SDGs, the beauty of the SDGs was reviving the concept of think global, act local. Unfortunately, we keep thinking local, we keep thinking global. We don't consider in the achievement of the SDGs acting local. We are weak on that. And if you look at the report prepared by the UN, UNDESA, by the different regional commission, ESCAP, ECLAC, CROLAC, and so on, the most of them, if not all of them, tell you we are far behind what we were supposed to achieve on the SDGs. And if you look at the data that is provided, it's mostly national data. And there comes the problem of acting local, something that is extremely important. And it has been highlighted in the last, I think, paragraph before listing the SDGs. It has to be contextualized. Read the 17 SDGs from where you are, your country, availability in resources, status of development, and so on and so forth. So it's extremely important to keep this in mind. And when it's come to achievement, we have to be realistic on what we claim for. You have heard many governments saying, we will be carbon neutral by 2030 or 40 or 50. This doesn't engage anyone because they will not be there. But when we consider that, and there comes the issue of the precautionary principle that I would like to link with the transition period, how are we going effectively to achieve that? And I give you just simple something that I was laughing when it happened. When a major country in the world, India, said, we are going to ban single-use plastic almost from tomorrow. I said, how can you do it for a population of 1,400,000,000 people who rely on plastic on their daily life? It was a political decision. Everybody has uploaded it. It was in the newspaper, and many countries have done that. How do you do it effectively? And there comes the issue of the SDGs. We are here working on preparing a report that will be presented in September as a midterm review of the implementation of the SDGs. So basically, what have we been achieving in the different countries when it comes to the SDGs? Have we really localized them as we should? I believe this is a lesson on the midterm review. We should focus more on effectively localizing. We need data. We need proof of achievement. This is not a minister of energy. It's a local community. It's a small and medium enterprises. It's a citizen. These are the ones who have the data and have to work on that. I said contextualize it. For the Arab region, for which we are working here, everything is a priority. But there are certain things that are really specific and extremely important for this region. Mr. Faisal mentioned building. I would rather call about housing, because housing has a social component, if you think about leaving no one behind. The other element, and we discussed it about yesterday briefly, is the loss of soil. The Arab region has been the basket bread for wheat of the world just some centuries ago. Now they are importing almost all their food. Look at the crisis with Ukraine. All the buildings we are doing, the cities that are expanding, are just done on the only quality, the best soil we have, and we do have limited quantity of soil. A soil that is lost for good. water you can still